Hey everybody, this is Rhett, Barber-Dyson Ford here in Woodward. I got Taylor Munsell with me. It's rodeo week, we're excited, we're back. And for our first episode of Let's Take a Ride with Barber-Dyson Ford, it was only right that we brought Taylor in, our local rodeo athlete. It's been highly successful. Looking forward to running around town, talking about some things. So let's take a ride. Well, Taylor, how you been?
I've been good.
Good?
Busy.
Good, just plugging along. Seems like every time I talk to you, you're in a different state. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's mostly Texas and back right now.
This probably looks pretty familiar to you. This is pretty close to what you drive, isn't it?
This is really close. It's about the exact same interior as mine.
F-350 Lariat. Keep you comfy driving down the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we are just going to cruise around town here a little bit and see what all Woodward is up to today. So tell me, where you been lately? What have you been up to?
I've been in Texas the last couple of weeks. Corpus Christi is as far south as I think you can almost go and stay in Texas.
That's the Gulf of Mexico.
We went there 2 weeks ago and then come back up to Fort Worth for the women's finals and then Arlington for the Kid Rock and Rodeo.
Nice.
Which was a ton of fun.
I bet so, yeah.
And then run back up home to, close to home, Abbeville, Kansas to the pro rodeo up there. And then back home today.
Nice, very nice. Well, we're excited to have you back. Obviously gearing up for the toughest of them all. That's a fun show right here in your backyard. So I think that's June 11th through the 14th. Is that right?
That's when the perfs are. I think Slack, they have the the Bobby Joe Cudd Memorial Breakaway roping Sunday beforehand. And then I think that's on the 8th. And then they start Slack the next day. And then the perfs start on the 11th.
Busy week. So
really
it's a lot
busy
of fun.
week.
There's a lot going on that week in town and around. I know the rodeo committee's been working really hard. Seems like they work year round on this rodeo, and they put on a huge show, which we're excited to be a part of. So I'll tell you something that is interesting to me. Like, you talk about your travel schedule and everything you got going on. Rodeo contestants are athletes. Like, they're skilled at what they do. They're professionals at what they do. You know, I get up, try to go to the gym, try not to get old every day. Y'all guys are on the move. How do you stay sharp? How do you keep your animals in shape? I mean, what's that look like for you? That's always been interesting to me.
It's a lot of work and a lot of juggling. I will say it also takes a lot of help.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm gone, I can't take all the horses with me I ride, so some of them get left home. And whether that's at home in Alva with my aunt and uncle exercising them for me, or if it's down home at my mom's house and them usually riding them or ponying them out of the Ranger, or even leaving them at my vet where they rehab them and swim them and ride them and keep them in shape for me. I have a huge crew of people that you know.
You got a big support system.
That help with that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, every time, it's honestly busier being home than it is being gone, just because of playing catch up as soon as you get home.
Shuffling everything around and getting stuff. Yeah. So that, you know, you think about just about any other sport. Like, you prepare for the event, you do the event, whatever it is, football, baseball, basketball, and then you go and you practice and you get ready for the next one. And then you go, well, you don't have that opportunity, because a lot of times when I talk to you, you're roping, and then I got to be here tonight to rope again. And then, so it's like, it's always been amazing to me how you can progress, and you see these rodeo athletes progress, but they don't necessarily have a lot of time to just practice. So I don't know if there's a lot that goes on before the rodeo or how all that works, but it's always been really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's one of the things I kind of tell people that are wanting to rodeo, especially pro rodeo, is you have to get really good at having a short-term memory and also like learning from your performance runs, because you don't get to practice hardly at all summer. So not only do you not get to practice, but your horse doesn't get practice, and you just kind of have to go into each run knowing you're prepared, even if you don't feel like you're prepared. And then if it doesn't go good, you have to take what you can from that and make sure you don't do it again. But you don't get to go home and work on it in between, which is hard, and it's very mentally demanding sport. But that's also what makes it so fun and so special when you do win at it. Yeah,
absolutely. Everything comes together, and you know, I think you had huge success in Houston recently, right? That was exciting. We saw you on the news, and I was like, holy cow, that's Taylor, you know? So that was awesome. But how quick was that too?
I was 2-7 at Houston to win the shootout, which is the final 4 round is how they do that. You rope all the way through. in the last round they take the top 4 back and they get to have a shootout round.
That's
the fastest time wins.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool rodeo. It's one of the biggest ones we go to, the biggest payout, especially for one run type of deal. And that one's I think that one was a lot different than what we do all summer, because I was up in the first set at Houston. So I went and roped my first 3, and then it was a whole month before I actually won the rodeo.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So I went down there for 3 days, and then I came home for a couple of weeks before I went back down there.
Talk about getting a little anxious.
I know, it's one thing.
I can't wait on a McDonald's meal, much less.
You get on a roll, you kind of want to keep running them.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to go home and take a break, but it worked out for me. I felt like we did a good job of staying really prepared and on top of it.
That's good, yeah, because you had to come back and perform again a month later.
Yeah.
So again, it's always wild to me. You get on these rodeo circuits and it's just like, you got to be top of your game, top of your game, top of your game, top of your game. And there's no downtime. I think it's a rare thing for what's rare about rodeo. Just from what little I know about it. It's been a long time since I've saddled a horse, so I'm not going to pretend to know anything about rodeo, but
it's unique. You don't get if you perform badly, you don't get to like go sulk and get over it. You don't get to go drive straight home and practice and get over it. If you get hurt, you don't really get to go get rehabbed and get over it, because first thing you got to do is still take care of your horses and stuff, and then you got to drive to the next one by yourself.
You got to load up and get after it.
So you don't really get a whole lot of time to, you get a lot of time sitting in the pickup thinking about it, which is sometimes your worst enemy.
Right. So talking about pickups, it's only natural that we talk about trucks a little bit, being that we're a Ford dealer. Obviously, we get to take care of you in the service department back there, and I love that, because we get updates on how things are going for you. Tell us about your truck. You drive an F-350 Lariat, right? And you put what, 30,000 miles on it a year, probably?
No, I put 60,000 on mine last year.
60,000 miles a year. So, and you're hooked to a trailer the whole time. I think if anybody could testify to the reliability and the performance of a Ford, specifically Power Stroke diesel engine, it would be you. So tell us a little bit about your experience with your Ford trucks.
I'm on my 4th Ford, and I've only owned 5 pickups in my career, and I'm on my 4th Ford, and I've loved every single one of them. I've been super blessed that I haven't had a single one give me any heck or ever leave me stranded, which is a horror story you hear a lot when you're out there rodeoing, is people getting stranded. Mine have been so good. They've kept me and my horses safe. Last time I was in with the Ford I just traded in, I was getting brakes done on it because the brakes had went out on my trailer, and I had to use the brakes up on my pickup to get home. But it got me and my horses home safe with a heavy trailer and a full load of horses and no trailer brakes, And just the pull and power, and then the ability to shut the rigs down, it's super important. Hauling with other people, I've drove all the competition's vehicles, and Ford's a standout to me, on top of how comfortable they are to ride in.
Absolutely. Just cruising around town here, these things are extremely comfortable. I think everything's very user-friendly. Ford's just got a great product.
They do, yeah. And a short drive for us is 6.5 hours.
Right. Yeah.
So I know the difference in a good seat and a not great seat. And I will say Ford, I think, has done the best to get the interior to the most desirable place as far as comfortable wise.
No, for sure. That's a huge thing is obviously you need reliability mechanically and all that stuff. But if you sit down in it and you're not comfortable, it doesn't really matter how well the truck performs. Especially like you said, when you're performing over and over and over, you're wore out, like you need somewhere comfortable to sit. So that's good. That's a good plug. We'll leave it there. Something I did want to talk to you about, you and I have never discussed this, I don't think, but what got you started in rodeo?
Oh man, rodeo was just, I don't even remember it ever being like a decision I made or anything. I grew up with one side of my family rodeoing and the other side ranching, so I feel like I kind of got the best of both worlds there.
Right.
I learned a lot more about horses and breeding cattle and stuff like that from ranching that I think really benefited me in rodeo. And then it was just something that I always knew I wanted to do. I love the horses and I love that part of it. So I knew that's something that I wanted to do, is have a career that involved horses. But to have a good career getting to use horses, you kind of have to make a name for yourself.
Right.
So I'd kind of decided like that I was going to rodeo
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to be good at it and I was going to make a name for myself, and I wanted to be known where I could help train and I could help other people, you know, train people and horses,
right,
and get to share my knowledge. And
absolutely.
I've gotten to a place where I can do that, and that's one of the things I love the most about it is getting to help other people.
All right, so we were talking about how you got into rodeo. It's kind of just through life.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you started on a ranch and, you know, working cattle, riding horses, and it just became a thing, right? So.
Yeah, and then, you know, I knew I wanted to go to college for sure, and the best way for me to go to college was to get a rodeo scholarship and get it, you know, get my school paid for.
Right.
So that was kind of a pushing factor, was always like I was going to college rodeo and get my college paid for.
Right.
And then that was the best thing I ever did, was go to college on the rodeo scholarship, especially at the school that I went to. I went to Northwestern in Alva, which they have a campus here in Woodward too now.
Yep.
But Stockton was great for me in my career, which he was already somebody that was successful and had already done what I'd hoped to do.
Right.
So that was very helpful for me. And it took me a couple of years before I kind of got things lined out. As most people know, I had the shoulder surgery right out of high school, and I wasn't much of a breakaway roper going into college. And then I got there and Stockton kind of told me, like, I need you to be a breakaway roper.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And I just, everything I did from then on was kind of focused on
breakaway,
that success, which also meant like doing good in school and stuff, because if you're failing in school, you weren't getting to college rodeo.
Your scholarship's gone, right?
Yeah. And it worked out great for me. I wasn't ready to kind of go off after my first 4 years of college, and the school gave me the grad assistant coaching job.
Okay. Yeah.
So they paid for me to stay and do a master's and coach, which was super awesome for me, and I loved getting to be a part of that. And that's something I could see myself doing in the future, as college rodeo coach. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to have that experience too. But then it kind of all rolled into each other perfectly. Breakaway wasn't in pro rodeo when I was in college, but then during my master's year, that's when they started adding breakaway to pro rodeo.
Nice.
So it kind of all rolled into each other perfectly.
Yeah.
That I was getting out of college and ready to pro rodeo, and not trying to pro rodeo before I was ready and stuff. And it all, I had horses lined out. I had, you know,
had time to get things ready to go. Yeah, for sure. That's they always say, you know, if you want to get good at something, teach it. You know, and that's kind of the, you know, if you're that over and over all day long.
Well, and it's crazy how much I learned, and this is crazy, but from roping with all these people that come from different places, and either learned from things that they did that I liked, and things they did that I didn't like.
Right.
That I was like, oh, I see them doing this, and it's hard to see something not working when you're the one doing it, but it's easy to see it when you're watching somebody else do it, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
So by watching other people, I could learn things that, oh, that doesn't work, or that does work, or maybe I should try it, but that don't mean it'll work for me.
Right.
And I feel like I learned a ton, which I'm a very visual learner, so I learned a ton through, you know, coaching and college rodeoing and getting to watch and be around.
See it take place and unfold.
Yes. And I took as much as I could from college rodeo. I think at some point I went and roped with every single college rodeo coach in our region. Yeah. I got to know all of them. I took as much as I could from all that, seeing how all their different practices worked, what they taught and stuff like that. And that definitely helped me a lot in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine being surrounded by that amount of knowledge and just, you know, not that they're all breakaway ropers, but they're all heavily involved in rodeo, you know, and just having that to kind of fall back on. And I'm sure still to this day, if you called any of them, they'd probably be willing to help you out. Or do something.
I stay in touch with a lot of them and still see a lot of them, and they all still support me, and they were a big part of my career. For sure. Well, so we learned about the beginning. So what's the future look like for you? I mean, are you just going to keep hammering until you decide I'm done, or what? Like, I don't know what the career life of a roper looks like. I mean, you mentioned coaching, you know, some of that stuff. I mean, do you have a timeline on any of that, or are you just going to kind of go with what you feel for now? I don't have a timeline at all. Rodeo is something you can do for quite a while, and obviously as long as I'm able and I want to, I want to do it. Yeah. But, you know, it is a strenuous thing, and it asks a lot of you and a lot of not being home. And obviously I do love getting to train horses, and I love getting to help people. So eventually, like in the long run, that's the plan. But for now, I want to, you know, rodeo while I can. And I'm definitely not going to back off anytime soon that I foresee, but... Well, I mean, you're performing really well, so why would you, you know? So
On the training side of things, did we have a conversation one time about you going to Hawaii and putting on a seminar or something like that?
Yeah, this past year, in between the NFR and Christmas, we got to go out to Hawaii and do some clinics. I think we in total actually ended up helping like 70 kids or something.
Wow,
it was like
awesome.
3 different sets of kids from beginner to advanced. And it was so cool to go over there and then help those kids because they were so eager to learn.
Right.
Just because over here in the States, you have so many people that you can go to get a one-on-one lesson, but they don't have that at their disposal as much over there.
Right. The last thing I think about when I think about Hawaii is rodeo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And they have a ton of good athletes over there, but they're just secluded from a lot of the people a lot of them come over here to rodeo.
Right.
So, and then they go back when they're done rodeoing. But there's still not that many of them over there that are teaching and stuff. So it was super cool to go over there and be a part of that. And then how welcoming they were. It was such an awesome community.
Yep.
And everybody there was so eager to learn. I got to go with Kelsey Domer, who's from Cherokee. So we grew up rodeoing together. She was a little older than me, and I idolized her growing up. And I went to one of her clinics when I was in high school. So it was cool to go do a clinic with her over there.
Full circle there. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. So was that a PRCA thing that got you over there, or was that just something that you and her decided to do? Or
it was actually all big circle things because all of it ties back in the rodeo world. But the lady that had us come over there, Shannon, her son came to school in Alva, and I met him while he was college rodeoing in Alva, and then he pro rodeos now, and he ended up kind of just out of making the NFR last year and stuff, but we have all become super close friends through all this, and he's a great guy, and his mom, their whole family's awesome, but it was kind of through that, and then she got a hold of Trison to have him kind of relay the message if we would like to come over.
Yeah.
And that was hard to turn down. That's a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Yeah, for sure.
And to go over there and,
do what you love and teach what you love.
Yeah, it was so cool to be a part of.
That is awesome. So, yeah, the world gets smaller all the time, doesn't it?
I know.
How do I have a connection in Hawaii?
Yeah.
So, but no, that's super cool. And that speaks volumes to the rodeo community. It's a worldwide thing, but once you're in it, it seems like it's a small network of people. Yeah.
And that's kind of, the Hawaii trip, that was things you only dreamed of. That was something I never even imagined.
Right.
I was going to get to do.
Yeah.
Because not much do I do that doesn't, relate back to rodeoing or roping or something. So to get to go to Hawaii and then also teach what you love made it just easy.
2-for-1 trip, right? Yeah, for sure. So you were born and raised where?
In northwestern Oklahoma.
Okay.
Harmon is where my mom's side of the family's homestead and stuff. My dad's side of the family still lives in Woodward.
Gotcha.
I grew up pretty much between Harmon and Woodward, and then I've lived in Alva since I went to school.
Right.
While I was in college, I bought a place there. And I haven't made it very far from northwestern Oklahoma.
Yeah. So you got to see the world, but landed back here in...
Which I will say is I am always ready to come home. I tell people all the time the second I cross the state line into Texas, I just can't wait to get back to Oklahoma because of the traffic.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and
get me
the
back
way
home.
People drive and stuff.
Right, and I think Western Oklahoma, Northwestern Oklahoma. I mean, I was born and raised in Western Oklahoma. Moved up here about 3 years ago. It's just there's so much support. Whether you're family, friends, doesn't matter. People want to see you succeed, and they want to be a part of your success. So. Not to steal the show, but just to make sure that you're taken care of. And I think maybe it was not this last truck you bought, but the truck before. It was like a 20-person effort to get you on the road in time to get to, I can't even remember where you were going, but it
California.
Was a thing. And I can't remember how many people were involved, but it was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal getting that vehicle ready to roll. In like a matter of a couple days. I think you guys went to Oklahoma City and picked it up. I was in Texas rodeoing, and
it was basically all the accessories, all that stuff had to get done. I mean, it went 5 different places probably.
Yeah.
And the plan was you show up, unhook your trailer, hook on, take back off.
Yep. We left. I think the day I come and we still had stuff to do the day I come and got it. We got the grill guard put on and the fuel tank switched and everything. And then, the next morning we left for California.
Yeah. And had everybody not been willing, to help, because it just takes one person in that whole chain to mess that whole deal up. And it just speaks volumes to Northwest Oklahoma hospitality,
Yes.
and just how hard people will try to make sure that you're taking care.
Because I don't think I asked a lot of favors and nobody told me no or even like batted an eye out at helping me. But then there was a lot of favors I didn't even ask.
Right. Yeah.
That people jumped in to do it just knowing I needed it done and was going to need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't think I didn't know about you guys having to go pick it up in Oklahoma City or bring it back or getting the ball or any of that done until I got there to get it.
Right.
And it had already been done and taken care of.
Yeah. Oh, Wayne Chambers, he was on it.
He was on it.
He took care of it all. So, but no, I just, that's what I love about Western Oklahoma. And I think, a lot of people, when you're in high school, you want to get out, you want to go, but it's always home, and it's hard to replace what we've got here and the people that we get to deal with on a daily basis. I mean, they're just kind-hearted people. And I think the rodeo culture as a whole is a lot like that. I mean, you're all in it together. You compete against each other, but you all want each other to succeed at the same time.
Yes.
So,
and that's something I do mention that a lot when people kind of ask me. I get asked a lot when I'm moving to Texas, and I have to always tell them like that's never in the foreseeable future for me.
Right.
And they just don't quite understand how great the community is. Not that there's not a ton of great people that I meet all over the country rodeoing, especially through the rodeo world, but just the network of people I have that support me and stand behind me locally is unlike anybody else I know that has local help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be a friend of your grandpa's friend that just heard about you that wants, that wants to help you. I mean, it speaks volumes. So, and I think that's what makes this Woodward Rodeo, I would think, a lot of fun for you, because all those people that keep up with you throughout the year, myself specifically, the folks at the dealership, we're all excited about Woodward because we get to see Taylor run. You know what I mean? And the Toughest of Them All is a big event, and I think just continuously growing. But tell us a little bit about what it's like to come home, perform in front of family, friends, all the people that have helped you get there.
Oh, it's honestly such a nerve-wracking rodeo because it's the one time a year that I do really get to come home and perform for like all my extended family and everybody, a ton of my sponsors and people that they get to watch me on TV, but they don't get to come see it in person and stuff. And it is super special to get to come home and get to perform in front of them and then see all of them all at the same time. Because generally when I'm home, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to do everything and see everybody. And it is nice that kind of we all get together in one spot and they get to see me and see what they support me do, which is super cool for me.
Yeah, your high school principal up there watching
I know,
the whole deal. Yeah,
so many people from my entire life that are still keeping up with me, and it's always crazy to me to see the support that I have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, speaking of the toughest of them all, I think we're pulling up to the rodeo grounds here. Just a great facility too. From a observer's perspective, it doesn't get much more comfortable. You got shade, you got.
Yes.
They do a really good job putting this rodeo on. So, and I know just from dealing with the rodeo committee, they do a lot for contestants. Tell us a little bit about, how you get treated when you come home as far as, performers go. If your friends are thinking about coming to the Woodward Rodeo to perform, I mean, to me, it seems like the place to be. You tell me, I'm not back there, prepping. So.
No, it is. It's one of the best rodeos, especially leading off into the summer. The Woodward Elks Committee, they go above and beyond every year trying to make this rodeo better. They spend a ton of time out here trying to get the ground right, trying to make sure they get the best stock they can and trying to put on the best rodeo they can. They do know that it does get hot in Woodward, Oklahoma this time of year, so they're very gracious and they have the grandstands covered for all the spectators.
A huge thing. Yeah, that's a huge thing. So.
And I think they said that there's 2 nights this year that there's sponsors that come in and paid the gate fee.
Free entry night.
Free entry nights for a couple nights this year because the one night did so good last year and they're doing it. I think they got 2 different sponsors doing it this year, which is so awesome for the community. And there are a ton of people that come to this rodeo solely because it's such a good rodeo, putting on a good rodeo, having a good committee and good fans and stuff, it definitely makes people want to come to your rodeo.
Yeah, you don't want to perform in front of crickets, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I've never seen this place where it's not packed.
Oh, no.
Any night of the week.
Standing room only every night.
Yeah, so a lot of fun. Again, Woodward Elks Rodeo, toughest of them all, June 11th through the 14th this year. You can come see Taylor run. We were hoping we would know what day she's running when we ran this, but we don't know yet. I think we're going to know tonight. So keep up with her. Keep in tune to Barber-Dyson's Facebook page. We're going to be giving away free tickets again this year. We're super excited. We love rodeo. We love supporting these athletes and seeing the community come out and get together. So y'all have a great day. Taylor, thanks for riding along today. And
thanks for having me.
See you in the future.